Let's do a quick review of what we've accomplished so far in terms of understanding how the business works and what can be done so that you achieve what you're after. And that's the whole idea of this class, these classes, is to give you understanding. And with understanding, then you apply yourself to that understanding. In preparing for this, I put together all the PDFs that I sent you in a three-ring binder. And my eventual goal will be to turn this into a detailed training manual, if that's possible. And along with the books and everything, that it's all the same stuff, just over and over and over again. Now, our first class was on the basics of the business, and on the call, you learned about the 10 things you need to know, which came from the book Vested Interest, plus some strategies and the big picture idea. And I also talked about phase one, phase two. Phase one being the learning phase for you. Phase two is teaching other people. Phase one. I mean, it's okay. The simple stuff. And here's the video link, and you'll get this PDF on Saturday, so you have a library that you can just easily go to. The second class was on setting a goal and what you need to do to reach it, and that was using the admin scale, which is starting with goal, purpose, policy, plan, program, projects, orders, ideal scenes, statistics, valuable final products. And that's a concept where anything related to achieving a goal is in those 10 things. And so if you focus on understanding those 10 things and then you got a goal that you're going after, then you just follow the program and you do each step. So what's the goal? What's the purpose? Why do you want to have this goal? What's the policy that you're going to operate on that'll help you get there, et cetera, et cetera. So we did 3 videos on that. It was a little detailed. You got the PDF, and I laid out a business plan example of what you need to do to reach your goal. Now, that was just, and again, when I use an example, it's one of trillions of examples that one could do. The idea is to understand the concept, and then you apply what you learn and, just practice and practice and practice and practice and practice. And with a pen and a calculator, I've got my calculator here, I've got my dictionary here, I got my pen here. So if I needed to figure out something, I could quickly sit down and do it. And if I was talking with somebody, I'd have the same equipment with me, and I would do it right in front of them. If I ask somebody, I say, well, how much money are you interested in making, or how much money do I have to talk about to get you really excited or motivated? And that's not the first question I'm going to ask them. That's going to come after a period of time in the conversation. But if I'm talking to somebody that we're now interested and he's interested and he wants to know something and he's got a problem that he wants to solve, it's a natural fit for people to start communicating with one another. And we saw that on one of the calls. And then then I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty, because here's why. The only way this business works for you if somebody else does something. I mean, that's it. The only way it works is if somebody else does something. So you want to be busy finding somebody to do something. And that's nature to be. So that's what those 3 were. Then we go on to the third class, was review of 3 videos. There was no PDF for that one. There's a video link. And the fourth class, we started to work on some of the program targets. Okay, so the program are the activities that you do, and the step-by-step stuff. When what we did, we started off and I laid out what I felt one needed to know and understand and do to learn how to do this business. And then, of course, it started with it's all about communication and your story. Well, if I look at it over time, I had a gazillion stories. I had my neighbor's story. I had my family story. I had the Nikan story. I had the wellness industry story. I had the competitor story. I had the Starbucks story. I had the McDonald's story. I mean, I created all kinds of stories that were designed to communicate an idea to somebody else. And when one of the things I realized really quickly about, it's all about communication, right, was most of the people that you're talking to have no idea what you're talking about when you talk about network marketing and how it works. They don't know PV, they don't know PGPV, they don't know CV, they don't know half the terms that we use. And I took a course, it was called the Student Hat, of teaching you how to learn. And one of the things, the biggest problem with learning was the misunderstood word. And anytime you go by a misunderstood word, the area right behind it, it goes blank in your memory. So when you're reading something you don't understand the term, you go blank and then you go back to try, well, what is that? I don't know. And that's why people get lost. And also it's related to productivity. So if you don't understand, your productivity is low. So anyway, you have to have a lot of stories. And those come with practice and time and circumstance. And but that was the next class. Then after that, next class was the compensation plan that was delivered in two videos. And again, this seems to draw most of the interest when I look at the viewership of the videos over time. Anything to do with the compensation plan and make money is the biggest draw. That's the biggest draw. Period. So that's an indicator to me that that's where you're going to have the biggest bang for your buck if you understand that idea. And it's not hard to learn. First of all, you got to clear up and understand all the terms that are being used, and then you got to practice the various scenarios that are going to come up. And it was like the story I told you with working in corporate headquarters and answering the phone call and explaining how people made money. That exercise became so invaluable. That was the basis of learning. The next class was how to build a business and win team ambassador, and that's what this class tonight's going to be about. And this was just, again, one example. It could be done a gazillion different ways. And we've seen people that have lots of retail accounts win this contest. And again, it's based on PGPV and PV and retail. But you can also build the business. But the key to it is understanding that it's easier, especially in a short run. For those people that have been around 10, 15, 20 years, that's really an unfair comparison because you don't have you're dealing with a 10-month window here and we're just getting started. If you have a track record and you've got some volume and you got some retail and you got some of the points that are already covered, and then you're one step ahead of the game. So take advantage of that. And then after that, we did a Q&A on the Team Ambassador Plan, and there was no PDF on that. And then last time we did a general overview of the activities of the business. Now, in any of these classes, I'm putting a lot of meat on the table so that you can then review and digest over time. And that seems to be the best way to make it work because you can reference back and forth. So should act as a reference to what you need to do. And again, in the activities of the business, that's all we do is an activity of some kind. They're mostly based on communicating, but somebody says, well, you need to launch your business. Well, for the average person who's never done this before, has no idea what that really means conceptually. What does launch your business? Are we going out in a boat, or is there some kind of yacht involved here? How that's a launch, that's you got different definitions. So, the best analogy that I always said is, you're a new attorney and you hang your shingle and you open the doors, or a new store opens the doors, has a grand opening event. They launch a big party and they invite everybody in the neighborhood to come and see it. Well, same thing and so from now as a view and as something to look at. So you just started this business and your product is Apple iPhones and they've just come on the marketplace. But people have the knowledge of a smartphone and what they are, and you're going to launch your business in your neighborhood. What are you going to do? You're going to tell every Tom, Dick, and Harry under the sun, moon, and stars what you got, aren't you? You're going to invite everybody in the neighborhood over to your house so they can see the new iPhones that are available that you represent and then can give to them. So everything that happens to you and in front of you is based on how you view it, how you do it, how you act, and, et cetera, et cetera. So you take a look at those activities and you look at what you know, what you don't know, what you like, what you don't like, and then stay focused on what you really like, and then, practice and learn what you don't like as much as you possibly can. But the goal of that idea was to understand what fits where and why, so that you can direct traffic. Remember phase one, phase two. Phase one, you learn everything there is to know. Phase two is you teach somebody else, because that's the way the business works. So you sponsor two people. What's the object? Well, the object is to help them, get them, have them, whatever terms you want to do, become the best distributors in the world, to create lots of volume and build a huge organization that goes down generation after generation after generation and spawns all kinds of great people. That's what you want. How is that going to come about? If they know what to do, if they have an understanding of the game. In other words, it's the same thing. You join a football team. If you don't understand how to play football, you're not going to be very valuable to the team. If you're going out and recruiting somebody for your business and they don't know what to do, how valuable is that? Not very valuable. So your posture, your position, how you look at things, this is your business. You're the boss. And you're building an army, you're building a team, you're building, and part of the benefit of building this team or being a part of this team is they can make a heck of a lot while they join and participate with you. So you got to paint that picture is the idea. So that this should give you a really good understanding of how the business works, how to build it, what's involved with it. And it's a serious affair. I made tens of millions of dollars with this business, guys. That's a lot of loot. That's a lot of loot. And there's people that made way more money than I did. Sorry, not me. People that made way more than I did. And people that made a lot less than I did. So, but this is the same in most professions. You have the top, the middle, and the bottom. And they all are related to the same thing. The intensity of and desire to do the work, the understanding of what to do, and how diligent you are in going about doing your work. So we're going to deal with that, and I'll just give you some ideas as we look at month one. So let's take a look at this. This is one of 10. The goal was to win the team ambassador incentive, build a diamond distributorship, and earn a great income. You can go back and refer to the actual class we did on this and see what the end result of it. The economics were great. I mean, financially, the rewards were really good. So it's worth it, number one, to do whatever you possibly can to get there. But let's understand that. So it's always, and this is a simple thing, you go to the end and you work it backwards. And you do it step by step by step by step by step, and there's your plan. So, for example, the compensation plan by Nikon, when it first came out, didn't have Royal Diamond and didn't have Diamond. It just had Platinum. And the wholesale rebate was 30%. And it was a whole different compensation plan. And so that's what we went. And silver was 40,000 points in 1 month. So, but again, that was the reality of that time. We didn't know anything else. There were no other considerations to look at. So people were doing it on a regular basis. So this makes perfect sense. So it took a while to get my hands around how it worked, et cetera, et cetera. And you've heard all of that stuff. So again, people still need to drink water. People still need to sleep. People still need the right nutrition. People still need to make money. And more importantly, people are looking for passive ways to make money. And, things like stock market and day trading are very risky. Most people lose their money. Very few make it in that industry. Most other industries and businesses require lots of time. But And again, the idea here is once you draw out what you want, then you understand, are you willing to commit 2 or 3 years now to have 10, 20, 30 years after? That's the concept of the idea. Okay. So we're week 1 of 10. The goal is to win the trip. We went over that. Your purpose needs to be then detailed why you have such a goal, and it must be important. So that's up to you. So you then, and again, we understand what the purpose is. It's the sub goal. It's the reason for. And if we look up the word reason and we look up the word purpose, then, and you understand that the term and the definition of that word, it makes a whole bunch of sense. Like my 8,000 a month was simply, that was what I needed to put food on the table and take care of the kids based on the lifestyle I had. There was no other reason to it. And the only reason why I did Nikan in the first place was the opportunity to make money. I didn't have anything wrong. I slept well. I was in great shape. Nothing going on that I need. I didn't have owies or anything like that. But here's what I observed. And this was the interesting thing because I sold automobiles. I sold Fords. Wasn't really sharp on Fords. I like Mercedes more. I sold the Yellow Pages, but I never used the Yellow Pages. I didn't, the Yellow Pages being that book with the yellow, that was yellow with advertising in it. Didn't have a business to put in it, but I sold it. I sold oil and gas investments. I didn't have any oil and gas investments myself, but I was able to sell them because I understood the concept and the idea of the other person. I sold insurance and I didn't have my own insurance, but I understood the value and benefit to the other person. So it's kind of like if the shoe fits, you wear it. If it is, and then later had insurance, a very valuable and very important aspect of life and living. And it's a great business tool, and you can do lots with it to your benefit. Okay. So you have to decide what your purpose is for why you got this game of which you're playing, because for the next 10 months, this is what we're going to do. We're going to play this game on a week to week basis. So that, and again, my job is to help motivate you and then find things that can add to what you're doing and that will go on. Okay, policy. So we're doing the admin skill here. So the policy is, and we've discussed this, and the information from Business 101 classes, aligning with success videos with Michael and Dave, and anything that you've run across that works and gets you a result. That should be part of your policy. What doesn't get you a result should be kicked out. Because you can't keep doing something that doesn't work and expect it to work. You've got to look at what works in a general sense and apply it, and then just apply it till it works. In other words, okay, so we'll get into it. Plan, build a diamond business. That's the overall plan. And that's 100,000 points a month. It's 100,000 points a month. And it's really not that big a deal. And the program will follow the example of the Team Ambassador video and PDF document. So today we're going to deal with month one and month one only. But we'll look ahead as we should, because the idea is think big and think in futures. So the future look is diamond. The future you're going to be in Costa Rica on a vacation with your friends and buddies, and you'll have built a good base for a business that can go on for a long time. You got to keep, from experience, I left it and didn't do anything with it. It fell apart in some of the areas that I was working, and that was not a smart move. So in hindsight, you'll do whatever you do to keep it going for yourself. Projects, hone your story. Know your compensation plan. Practice your brains out. Set up people on this call to work with that are going to play with you, and then practice with them. And the practice is play the roles of what you're trying to do, and it's easy to do. The statistics that I'd keep: new distributors that you signed up, customers that you get, volume, income, rank advancements for you, rank advancement for other people. You can do the OV, you can do, but that's what I would start with in a general capacity, because what you really want to understand over time is that by you doing an action, you can get a result. The key that you have to, and the hump that you have to get over is what is that number? And you learned from the very first class that this is a business is all about numbers. It's numbers of. It's numbers of calls. It's number of distributors. It's volume, number. It's income, number. It's rebate, number. So everything's based on a number. So, again, that's why you utilize statistics because the graph will show you. And over time, what I found out was that if I made more phone calls, I talked to more people, I did more follow-up calls, I got more income. It was simple. Wasn't difficult, didn't need a Harvard degree. But what's if you don't do it, then it's a big mystery. Because then you don't know what worked. And so you can't remember what to keep going because there's a lot of things you do. Okay. Ideal scene. I would take the picture from the team ambassador document that I did, make a blank one of that, fill it in as to where you are right now towards the goal. And then what that shows you is what's next. So for example, you have a retail customer and it's now March and you've got 500 points in that column. So that column's done. So you want to put up on your board 500 done. Now, what's next? Well, I got to sponsor a person. So you sponsor one person, what's next? See, the reason you put it up on the wall is so you can see what's next. You can see the departure from the ideal to where you are currently. If the ideal for this particular game, for this particular month was 1,500 points and you're at 0, well, now you know you got to do 1,500. If you were at 1,000 and you need 1,500, you got 500 to go. Now this expands. So if you're at 69,000 for the month and your goal is 100,000, you got 31,000 to go. Same concept, but just you do it on you get used to doing it on a smaller basis, and then you understand, well, it's like baking a chocolate cake. How many little chocolate nuggets do I have to have in the batter to make a good chocolate cake? How many doubles of butter? How much, this and eggs and oil and vanilla extract and all those other things. It's the same thing. It's really the same thing. And of course, here's the bottom line. What's the valuable final product? Now, to really understand, the valuable final product is a product that you produce that you can exchange for what you want. So, simple terms. You go to work for 2 weeks and you produce what the boss wants you to produce, and you create the valuable final product that he requires. What does he do? He gives you a check. So the work was the exchange. So now you go out there and you create a platinum distributor that's doing 30,000 points a month. And of that 30,000, let's look at the CV. So 30,000, and let's say the CV is 65%, and you're getting 6% of that on a monthly basis. So it's $1,170. So by you producing and creating and helping this other person go to platinum and produce the 30,000 points on a monthly basis, that's a valuable final product because that's going to give you $1,170 a month. Now let's put this in perspective. Let's multiply that by 12 times 12. So that's $14,000 a year. Now they're doing the work. They're underneath you. Okay, you help them, you call them, you motivate them, you inspire them, you go do meetings with them, whatever the case may be, whatever you have to do. But that 14,000, now let's divide that by what would you have to have in the bank and at the current going interest rate of say 5%. So that's $280,000 in value. So in the beginning, I start to look at this stuff because I was used to doing that for another business and really understanding, it's like when you buy a home and you get equity. Well, your equity is only as good as you're going to use it or draw it down or sell the property. If it's just sitting there, it does no value whatsoever. But it gives you peace of mind because you can have a house and it can be worth $1 million and you have a mortgage of 200,000 and you've got equity of 800,000. That could be a future nest egg. But what we're talking about here is even more valuable because it's cash flow. And cash flow can buy a lot of nice things for you and do a lot of good things. So that's the idea. So your valuable final product is that exchangeable product. So you go out and you talk to you do exercises every day. You pray to Allah every day. You inspire yourself. You read books. You do everything like that every day. And what's the valuable final product that you're producing? I don't know. So there's nothing to exchange. So you got to have something to exchange. Okay, so let's look at this in a different way. The artisan, somebody that's really talented and they can do wonderful paintings. So they just got this talent. They do this mural on the wall, they paint it and they stick it outside by their garage and you walk by and you go, "Oh my God, that's gorgeous." So what have they created? They created a valuable final product that is now exchangeable because you came by, saw it, liked it, and want to buy it. But let's say you just had a bunch of squiggly lines and two dots on it, and it just sat there, and really, what, and nobody bought it. And it's not a valuable final product, is it? So when you're doing your work, what you got to be thinking about it in what you're doing is this valuable and is this exchangeable? So you recruit somebody and they don't do very much. As a matter of fact, they do very little, if nothing. And so what's going to happen? Nothing. They're going to walk away. They're going to do something else. They're going to give up. They had misunderstood words, whatever the case may be. They didn't learn what to do. They weren't taught properly, et cetera. They didn't have a good understanding. So they don't produce anything. So now you have nothing to exchange. You can't even take that and put it into a story which would be exchangeable. I mean, I had successful distributors that I put into a story that became extremely exchangeable in my communication with other people because I could use my story to communicate to other people that inspired them, motivated them, got them excited, and said, okay, if they can do it, so can I. That's what I said. If he can do it, so can I. So there is your admin skill. You want to do this yourself in earnest, and you want to go over all the points, go up and down until they're all balanced, all in favor of each other, especially when it comes time to doing your program. Okay. So now let's take a look at what our goal is. The target for month one is build an executive team. Get one or two retail customers, three, four is okay, fine, two, 500 points, whatever, that's good because there's components that you learned had to be done for for the game that you want to play. And in the PV section, the personal volume, you had to have 5,000 points. So retail's a great way to do it instead of you buying the product. And then again, the next step was to find a distributor and then help him get the 500 points, become a senior, and find somebody underneath him and get to senior. So now that's the goal. That's the target, I should say. That's what we're after. This is part of a big plan. That's what we want to do. And again, what's the reward for this? We have 500 points, PGPV 1500, retail PGB 829 approximately, 5 customers and 2 senior distributors. Again, this is just one way. This is one example. You can have the 3 distributors and the 5 customers, or you can have the 10 customers and the 20. It's the concept that I want you to understand. Now, set the target. So you put up on the wall, this is what you're going to do. And now you have to figure out, well, how do I do this? So you have to look at the sub products, the lesser targets that make up the activities that make up the whole. So how would you go find two retail customers or one waterfall? So you could advertise, you could phone somebody you knew, you could, whatever the case may be. So again, and if I go back to the beginning when I had nothing, I put together the list that I had, the 8 people. Or was it 15? No, 15 people. I sold 7 and lost 8. So I went and pitched them. So now here's what I knew. And this, I want you to understand this. We weren't selling retail. We were looking for distributors. We did have retail sales. We did have wholesale sales. And you understand what a wholesale sale, that's a distributor that signs, person that signs up a distributor, but doesn't want to build the business. They just want the cheap prices. And then we had the actual business builder. So my first approach when I would be social and prospecting and talking to the person was to see if I can figure out what kind of a person do I have in front of me. So we do the social chit chat. How are you? What are you doing? How's everything going? How's the family? How's Mabel? How's, whatever the case is. And in that course of that conversation, I asked questions. And if I heard something that was anyway of interest to what I was doing, then bang. Oh, so you're looking for something. Oh, you need to make some more money. Oh, you don't like what you're doing. Oh, you feel you're in a rut. Well, how do you find out that information? You got to ask questions. So what I saw, if I went for the big picture first, then I could reduce it. The last thing I went for was the wholesale customer. So I pitched the distributor, didn't want to be a distributor. Then I said, well, you like the products, right? So which product would you like to purchase? Well, they're kind of this, they're that. I don't know. Well, tell you what, I got a deal for you. I can sign you up as a distributor. You don't have to do anything. It's cost $39 and you get them at wholesale price. Now I know you like the water system, so why don't we do that? I'll get you the water system. Instead of being $363, it's $283 at wholesale, okay? There you go. There's your 500 points. So, but again, how did we get that 500 points? We were looking for a distributor. Then on the distributor basis, you've heard, you've seen a gazillion videos and talks, okay, and you've all pretty much got sponsored a distributor because you guys are, been around the block. So you want somebody that wants to play. So again, this goes back to the original goal and purpose. Do you want this goal? Is the purpose big enough? I mean, is this worthy enough? See, for me, my $8,000 was I had 3, 4, 5 mouths to feed. I wasn't coming home without a paycheck. I wasn't coming home without money in the bank. I wasn't, et cetera, et cetera. Now I figured out how to be a month ahead of the game, so had the bills paid for 1 month, but I had to go to work because the following month was blank. So if I had to get a distributor, then I had to get a distributor. You follow what I'm saying? So you set the target. So you have to get this done, period. No ifs, ands, or buts in your mind. And there's no reason why you can't get this done. There's no reason why you can't do more than that. But we know what happens if you did this because you can take a look at what the next month is. And you saw that in the chart because once you've done this, then you're going to help these two guys go executive. See, look where I'm doing. I'm saying you're going to take this guy, and you're going to help them go executive by having them have 2 distributors, and then this guy down here having 2 more distributors. So what are we doing here? We're building a team. because experience has showed me that when there's a team, there's everybody's on the same page, everybody's in the same group, everybody benefits from what goes on below them. So here you are up here. This guy does 500 points. You get credit for that 500 points. This guy down here gets 500 points. You get credit for that point 500, and so does this guy. Well, let's take that down 6 levels. Let's take it down 10 levels. There's 5,000 points. See, it's all mathematics, guys. It's not, and here was the other thing that I learned. Everybody can get one person almost overnight. You just have to ask for it. Who do you know? You get the first guy, first senior, first guy. He's not even a senior, hasn't bought a product. Well, who do you know that you'd love to play with and would like this game too? And they give you a name, you go talk to that person, you sign them up. Teach both of them. Okay, now we go. Let me show you how to get some customers. Let me show you how to build your business. Let me show you how to, you need some product. Okay, blah, whatever you do to do this. But there's your map. There's the game. This is what you need to do. Okay. So now there is the ideal scene for the month. How are you going to do this? Well, first, let's talk about finding a distributor. Again, as has been discussed in previous videos, we're looking for someone with a necessity level to earn and make money, and what could be done to find such an individual. When I was on the ferry yesterday, went to my car, another 3x5 card on the window. Same person, persistent. Whoever's doing this is targeting these cars. It's a form of advertising. And if I had a project, I might be interested in getting some information. Okay, so create and do a launch event. So there's a way you could do this. What's a launch event? Well, get together with your sponsor and you put on some kind of party, some kind of in-home thing, some kind of Zoom video event where you bring in guest speakers and you bring in success stories and you invite as many people to come to it as you possibly can. You tee up with your sponsor in the upline above them to help in all ways possible. There's one idea. You could do that. Call people on your list of prospects. So you have a list of prospects, a list of people to call to. So if you're new to this, then you'll have created a list and gone over this list with your sponsor or mentor to identify who might be your best person to work with. So when I sponsored somebody, I would talk to them and they'd give me a list of people and we talk about this. And well, all right, so let's look at Jerry. Okay, Jerry, you've invited these people over. Who do you think's best suited for this? She'd name them out because she knew them. Good, let's go talk to her. All right. Why does she want to go talk to them? Because you've got her excited about doing the business. So you've shown her how it works. You've shown her the pictures. She knows what she needs to do. It's almost magical how it works. Okay, so then that would be then your next action. Call the person and do an ABC. Repeat this until you have your new distributor. Repeat this until you have your new distributor. Repeat this until you have your new distributor. This is a song. Repeat this until you have your new distributor. Repeat after me. Repeat this until you have your new distributor. Repeat after me. Repeat this until you have your new distributor. So in other words, you don't quit. You just keep doing until you get the result. Because all results come about by doing an activity. They don't come about by any other way. Now, this is a kind of a sidetrack, but I have pushed out in one direction to my left or whatever I'm doing, and then something comes in the other way. That happens. That happens a lot. But it's only based on how worthy you feel of your ability to, play the game and do what you need to do. Okay. So if you've been around for a bit of time, which most of you have, then the key here, as you know it, is to find people to talk with so that you can find out what is needed and wanted. And then you do this until you find your first distributor. So many times when I ran out of people to talk to and I hadn't had a brain, I hadn't figured out what to do next or hadn't really laid out a good game plan, I'd call people I already know and say, okay, things are going great. I'm looking for somebody. I need a partner. I got to expand. I can't do it by myself. Do you know anybody that wants to make some serious money? And I just keep doing that. And here's what I found. I found over time that circumstances changed. So not always was the same, the people were in different, had different shoes to wear, et cetera, et cetera. If you must rely on the cold market, then several choices. Advertise, social media, hand out three by five opportunity cards, buy leads, call them, buy email lists, write to them, do surveys. So the bottom line is you do whatever you need to do based on who you are and what you want. So I wanted to go silver. I wanted to make this business work. I wanted to make the income I needed. Was willing to put in whatever time. I worked from 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. I didn't come back. I didn't come home. And I realized that I did that because of experience. And I also realized I had no money. So what else am I going to do? I can't just sit at home and twiddle my thumbs. I have to be productive. So I became very creative in ways to find out people to talk to. And then I would talk to other people who had success and find out what they did. I didn't put that down there, but that's another great one. Talk to people who have done this and find out what did they do. And then again, get inspired, get on, do Google search, find out how many people join network marketing companies every day. Look at some of these other companies, see what volumes they're doing, what sales are being made. Look at our economy. Look at people, look what they need to do, look at the struggles they're having. You just don't have to go very far. But the easiest way that most people are most interested is the economic route. So you then have to learn to create a story that's not going to intimidate them, scare them, or run away before you have an opportunity to really talk and see how this works, because how it works is really simple. And most people don't know how it works. And they brush it off, how can I help you, ma'am? Oh, I'm just looking. Ah, heck, you're just looking. You want to buy that dress, don't you? You're going to a prom. What's the occasion? And then you pull the strings, you ask the question, you find out what they want, and you give it to them. All right. Whatever you choose to do, then you go and do it until you get the result that you want. And what we're going to do here with these calls is this is your home. This is home base. This is where you're going to tell me what you've done. So then other people are going to tell you what they've done so that you get inspired. Because part of what we had when we started this business was inspiration from people that got the job done. Now, you can do your homework, you can study, you can practice. Those are all good things, but you've got to be doing the activities that create the results. You've got a map, you know what you're supposed to do, you know what you can do to get those things. So the whole object of the exercise is to focus on the activity. Don't worry about the result. So I went and talked to 10 people, then nobody bought anything. Well, don't worry about that. Go and talk to another 10 people. Because you may need to talk to 40 people to find 2 people. I can't tell you the magic one to what it is. I mean, again, I don't want to tell you my numbers. They might scare you because they were large. But I just got used to talking to as many people as I possibly could. Now, likely by doing this process, you will also find your customers. And when you focus on your new distributors, on going to work, the same thing will happen there. Now, we're going to do this Thursday night classes in March, and on each class we'll do a checkup. How did it go? What are the activities? Who's got results? What did you do? How did you get where? So that we can share those results with everybody else and basically create a platform so that we can move on to the next levels. If you are already silver or gold or platinum, and yet you're not where you want to be in your business and the development you want to win the team ambassador incentive and earn a decent income, how do you participate? The answer here is simple and done on the same basis. Do your admin scale. And that determines what you need, and then set the targets to what you want to get over the next 10 months to accomplish the goal that you want to get to. So it's all the same stuff, whether it's you're a silver, a senior, an executive, just starting. Well, you play the game that you want to play to get what you want to do. The requirements are the same for everyone. So, and it simply amounts of where are you at and what is the balance you need, and that becomes the program to do. So if you had set a goal, you want to save $100,000 and you've got 60,000 in the bank, well, then great. What do you need to do? Put another 40 grand in there because that was the goal. Don't settle on the 60. Keep pushing. Now, if you're working with, say, a frontline or a distributor down in your organization, that's great. Then the same idea applies to them, which is where are they and what is remaining and how does this relate to your goals and activities? So I had Royal Diamonds on my sixth level, fifth level, fourth level, third level, second level, and first level. They were all valuable. I made tons of money on all of them. I wanted to work with the person that wanted to work. And then I would figure out how to take advantage of or get paid on it. See, it's focus on the activity, don't worry about the results. That's the same concept there. And more importantly, when you have an organization that's working, your job is to focus on growth and who needs to do what to make it work. So that's what, again, it's the phase one, phase two. So the phase one was learn what to do, phase two. So I would scour my organization. I'd ask questions. I'd do seminars. I'd do meetings. I'd like, well, do you need my help? What do you want to do? Do I do the admin scale with them right there? Bang. Okay, let's go. Let me show you how to do it. I didn't care what level they were on. I didn't even care if they were in my own organization because the survival of Nikan was most important. When you use targets and helping those who do set a target, you usually get the job done. So the big part of your job is planning and directing the efforts to grow a large organization. So that's really what it's all about. But in order to get it started, you need that first person or two because that's, and they've got to really want to do this. Then your job is to help them because one person can make you a lot of money. I can tell you that. So, and then here's how they do it from what they do, and they do it in your ability to create a story which you can exchange with other people to get them interested in joining it and joining the business. Okay. Here's the idea. Everyone who is a senior has to target to go executive. And when done silver and then done gold, and then when that's done platinum and that's done diamond and that done royal diamond. So we're all on the same page. Start at the bottom and you work you out one step at a time. Okay. So when you have your map on the wall, you can see where to focus your attention and give the orders to do the activities that are known to create the results that you want. Okay. Now, you want to keep in mind your future. And by looking at what that might potentially be, you can see to determine where to work the best to maximize the different situations. So whenever I'm talking to somebody, I'm looking at, well, what's this person going to do and where can this go? Because I could have a diamond prospect. And if I have a diamond prospect, then I know what a diamond prospect can do. They're going to do 100 to 200,000 points. What's that going to give me in income? How much time I work, okay, so let's do it. You get 100,000, just real simple, times 65% times 6%. So that's $4,000 a month approximately. So that's $50,000 a year. That after 5 years, we've got 250 grand. After 10 years, you got a $500,000. So that's a pretty valuable person. So how much time do I want to, because you can buy a house and invest in your equity. How long would it take you to have a $500,000 in equity? Now, I would do all of this stuff. I'd use my calculator which way I could so that when I was talking to somebody else, I could use that to explain the benefit of doing this business. All right. So let's go to work and get the target done. Next Thursday, we will discuss the next steps that to be done based on what's been accomplished. And again, what's the activity? Focus on doing the activity. Don't worry about the results. We'll deal with that next week, but don't deal with it while you're doing it. Just go out and do what you need to do. do your admin scale, plan it out, know what you're going to do, and then go to work. And whatever the is a lot of time. Okay, so that's all we're going to do on this call. It's 6 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock where you are. And I'll stop the share and I'll stop the recording real quickly. And we'll see you next week.